to Eye on Horror, the official podcast of iHorror.com. This is episode 47, otherwise known as Season 3, Episode 11. I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davison. How you doing, Jacob?
Hanging in there, still hanging out a lot at home with, everything going on.
Yeah, it's that second wave, or... Well, depending on who you listen to, the second half of the first wave because they opened too early. But yeah, I feel you. Also with us again, as always, is your other host, John Correa. How you doing, John?
I'm pretty exhausted, if I'm going to be honest. I'm very sleepy, very tired.
You're the one who really needs to stay home because you are in Georgia, one of the hot spots.
I was about to say I'm not home at all. I'm on the other side of the country now.
Stay in that hotel room.
Oh, trust me. Yeah, I'm in southern Georgia, about an hour or so from Tallahassee, Florida, and about 4 hours south of Atlanta.
Where they just don't care if you're sick or not. They're going to go and get a beer and go to a beach, right?
I mean, that's definitely Florida's thing. But like here, it's It's like I get it because I am out here with a TV show, and I am one of the people that has spent the last few weeks making sure that we are doing everything we can to be safe, making sure we all have PPE, sanitizer, soap, all that, above and beyond we're trying to go. We got all tested before we left. We got blood tested when we got here. So it's crazy. It's a different world with production with it, and we're still figuring it out. But yeah, I'll be honest. I brought my PlayStation down with me. I just went out to a couple Dollar Generals today, wearing my mask, gloves, and sanitizer, all that fun shit. Got myself a bunch of movies, so I'm pretty good to not leave the hotel except for work from here out.
Did they ostracize you? Did anyone give you trouble about wearing a mask? Did anybody say, like, take your mask off, you pussy?
No. I did have some people ask, because one of my masks, my buddy made it. You can find his stuff for sale. He's called In-State. He made a mask, and I bought it, and it's got Sinead O'Connor on SNL ripping the picture of the Pope. So I haven't gotten like stuff, people being like, oh, fuck you for wearing a mask. But I have gotten, wait, what's that on your mask? And I tell them, and they go, oh. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a different world down here. I guess I should really not wear my pentagram masks while I'm out and about.
That was my next question. Have you hit the pentagram mask on him yet? Have you dropped that one?
Yes, actually, I have been wearing it, but what I have is I have this like face protector that's supposed to keep dust out of your face, and it's like really thin and black, so I just put that over it, and it not only helps keep the mask on my head and covers my ears, which is important because there's a lot of gnats out here, but it does block the pentagram mask design. So I did scare one person who asked me for money because I went, hold on 1 second, and I pulled down that front bit, and I was like, what? And they're like, I just need some money for gas. So I don't have cash, and she drove off real quick. So it's a nice little deterrent.
Yeah. That's one way to deal with them.
Can I have some money? Say it.
What have you guys been doing? What's been happening? There's really no new movies in theaters, but what's been going on? I got my Vinegar Syndrome order, which is exciting. The only thing I've dove into with it is I got Taking Tiger Mountain. Are you guys familiar with Taking Tiger Mountain?
Oh yeah, wasn't that Bill Paxton's first movie?
Yeah, it is.
And it's based off of a William S. Burroughs story.
Yes, well, loosely, but yeah, it's weird. If you read the synopsis, it says something like a draft dodger from World War III gets programmed as an assassin by a cabal of women or something like that, and you can't get any of that from watching the damn. I mean, you can get that he's an assassin that these women are sending to take out this military guy who owns tigers on a mountain. That's why it's called Tiger Mountain. Yeah, not just a clever name, but you can't. I mean, it's really artsy, and it was shot, it's in black and white, and they shot it with no sound, so all of the dialogue is overdubbed. So it kind of has the look of one of those, the sound sync of one of those Italian giallos that they overdub in English, where the language is almost... It's like that kind of lip syncing, but it's a really crazy movie. It reminds me of Cronenberg's Stereo, his first movie, where it's it's real artsy and real student filmy, but Vinegar Syndrome is a good label to put it out because it's borderline porn in places. It is like there is unsimulated oral sex in it, and then there's like, it makes you wonder if the other scenes are simulated, the other sex scenes are simulated or not. It's like, dude, it's like, Bill, I know you need the money, but he, I guess, was one of the producers. He was the brain. Him and two other guys were the brains behind it. But it's a pretty crazy movie.
Now, I have to ask the question because I'm sure there's listeners wondering, but do you get to see Bill's Paxton?
Yes, you do.
You do? Fuck! Why didn't anyone tell me this while they were having a sale? I would have. All you needed to say was Bill Paxton's penis is in this movie, and I will buy it. Damn it!
Unless this was done in the early '80s, it's 1983. So I don't know if they would have done the digital effects on something this low budget to make it, to put Bill Paxton's head on someone else's body, kind of a thing, like they did, like Lars von Trier did in Nymphomaniac. So I would actually put money on now that's Bill's real Paxton.
Well, what if they did like in Game of Death when they just put like a paper cutout of Bruce Lee's face over the guy's face when he looks in the mirror? Like, did you think they did that with Bill Paxton's penis?
No, because it was definitely, well, maybe with the penis, maybe a cutout of the penis over it, but they didn't do it. It's not a cutout of the face. No,
color
it's
shading
really
doesn't match on this.
Well, no, it's in black and white. It's really easy to match the color. It's a crazy movie, though. I mean, it's
to the list.
It's definitely worth watching. Yeah, add it to the list. It definitely is, just for the wow factor. It's kind of like, it also kind of reminded me a little bit of like Eraserhead in just how, just kind of, and maybe it's just, first movies that are in black and white that it's reminding me of.
So it's got a real Clerks feel to it.
You're not far off. I mean, it is kind of like that. Yeah, that there is some verite parts to it, but yeah, it's Taking Tiger Mountain is that one. And I also got The Passings and Night Owl, but I haven't dug into those yet.
I watched Night Owl. That was a part of my order. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. It's kind of like a parallel to Abel Ferrara's The Addiction. It's a black and white vampire movie in the early 90s, set in, I think, the East Village, and it's also set during the house music scene of that time, and it stars John Leguizamo, who's like this guy whose sister disappears, and his sister was killed by this vampire who's been stalking the club scene, and it's kind of like a cat and mouse chase, but like really gritty and also black and white.
Is it a vampire movie, though?
It is a vampire movie.
Okay, I was under the impression it's a vampire movie, but it sounds like they kind of play that down a little then.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like the guy, it's kind of like, I guess, Martin or something, where it's like he drinks blood, he stalks victims, but he doesn't really show any supernatural powers, although he claims to be like centuries old or something. And yeah, like John Leguizamo is kind of the Van Helsing of the story, where he's like tracking down this vampire he's like trying to find his sister. He doesn't know like his sister's been killed by the vampire. I mean, it's very slow burn, but it is just kind of interesting getting a glimpse of that kind of period in New York and that kind of vampire story from that time period.
Does it leave the audience with the same feel that Martin does, where he may not be a vampire, he may just be like this killer who's crazy, or is it more definitive than that? Or don't spoil it if it's a spoiler, but
I think it's up to interpretation.
Well, Martin is too, I think, too.
Yeah, so. Well, there's a level of ambiguity, so take it as you will. And funnily enough, I got another vampire movie from Vinegar Syndrome from the sale called Pale Blood. That's the exact opposite of Night Owl, because it's a glitzy, neon-soaked, Los Angeles-based vampire movie that's kind of like a neo-noir, and with one of my favorite kind of low-budget genre actors, Wings Hauser. And it's very interesting because it's about a vampire who's tracking down a serial killer who's impersonating a vampire and like making his killings look like the work of a vampire by biting victims on the neck. And so like this vampire's tracking down this vampire wannabe because he's bringing all this attention to vampires, so he has to like figure out who the killer is and stop him before like he kind of gets people after vampires.
Now is Wings Howard the vampire?
No, he plays kind of a sleazy photographer. It's a George Chakiris plays the vampire detective named Michael Fury.
Michael Fury, like Fury?
Yes.
Like Nick Fury?
Yes. So I watched them back to back, so it was kind of a pretty interesting contrast because you got this early 90s Los Angeles based vampire movie. It's like all neon soaked, very Michael Mannish and stylized, and then you got Night Owl, which is very gritty and black and white and set in New York. So it's real coast to coast differences.
See, this is the worst thing that I think about these type of sales, is because I spend so much money, and then afterwards I hear about movies that I didn't get, and I'm like, fuck.
I know.
Should have just gotten a few more.
Yeah, I wish I had known about that one at the time too. It glossed right over me.
I mean, I missed out on Bill Paxton's penis and a detective vampire, or vampire detective. Like, come on.
Sad.
Wait, is he a vampire detective or a detective vampire? Which is first?
Well, speaking of these sales, either of you guys have any luck with Severin?
Funny you mentioned that.
Severin, if any of you, I mean, and this, it'll hopefully be resolved by the time you're all hearing this, but Severin did their mid-year sale, and they got supposedly attacked with a DDoS attack, which I can kind of buy that. I don't know who Severin would piss off enough to want to do that, but a DDoS attack basically is just millions of pings that kill the site. So I guess it could be just a bunch of customers trying to refresh, try to get in there to get that Al Atkinson set. But it's a mess though, because they postponed it, and now they don't know when it's going to be back up, and they're taking orders via email.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. The sale technically is still going. You just got to send them an email.
Yeah.
And like I said, funny you mentioned that, because me and John were kind of were on the phone like in kind of DEF CON 1 the other night trying to place our orders. Like, oh, dude, it's still loading. How's it going on your end? You know, it was like a political thriller.
Well, and also usually with these sales, because they're all East Coast based labels, it's great for us because we're on the West Coast. So it's like, oh, 9 o'clock, that's awesome. I was up till fucking 2 a.m. because I'm in Georgia now, and I couldn't sleep anyways. I actually forgot, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, it's 12:05. Oh, I should try to get that Fulci set. And then 2 hours of that. But I was able to get the Fulci with Rice set, so it's the 3 movies and the 2 T-shirts.
Same here.
So I was very happy about that.
So you guys were able to order?
Yeah.
Took time and dedication.
Yeah, we had to go back. Like I said, we were on the phone, so we were going back and forth trying to figure out like tricks to get past the system. So it's kind of like hackers. Except we weren't hacking. We were not hacking.
No hacking. I just saw someone gave a little tip once you got to checkout with your items on how to get it to go through, and that was about it. But nothing bad, but I sent another email with a few other items. The thing that's upsetting me the most is these things happen. I mean, with boutique titles, I don't think anyone, at least in this room, or anyone listening, hasn't had a time when there was like a mid-year sale or a Black Friday sale where the site didn't crash. For a lot of different labels. It's happened with Vinegar Syndrome, I've seen before. It's happened with Severin before.
I feel like it happens to Severin every time, though, doesn't it?
And usually a little bit more. But here's the thing: like, these are all independent labels. You know, they don't have a lot of backing, like, you know, a big site. So like, obviously Amazon's not going to crash, or like stuff like that.
Shout Factory is not going to crash.
No.
Yeah, but they have other issues.
Burn.
But and that's, as someone who's a big Shout and Scream Factory fan, it's nothing with love with that statement. But the thing that's upsetting me the most is, like, it's like I completely understand being upset not being able to get the item that you want, not having that guarantee that it's coming in. But god damn, did the fan community get toxic? Like,
yes.
very, very, like, people were like, oh, I'm trying to give you my money, this is indicative of your quality of your stuff, and blah blah blah. It's like, dude, first of all, no one else is going to put out these titles. Like, why are you coming? It's not like, I know there's other companies, I'm not going to say names, but there's other companies that have promised to put out, you know, great restorations and titles and stuff, and then just never deliver and never give people their money back. Like, Severin's, they're good people that just, you know, got caught up in a really bad situation.
Yeah, the craziest is like the people who were writing like essays like, oh, I'm never going to give you my money again. I'll never buy another Severin movie again. And, you know, it's like there are far more reaching problems in the world right now to be that mad about a Blu-ray sale. You know, it's annoying, but
it's not like Severin is purposely, oh, we're going to take the site down, see how many people were pissed off. Everybody's on the same team. Severin wants to sell you stuff. You want to buy stuff. You know, I mean, sure, this is unfortunate, but I mean, lay off them. I mean, I know you're mad, but your target should not be Severin. They're trying to fix it as much as you want it fixed.
And they're doing everything they can. Like, they're taking orders by email. They said that they're freeing up and making more like non-numbered copies of stuff that, you know, like I think it was Frankie and Pals was the only thing that sold out during the clusterfuck. And
I would not want to be the person who has to process those email orders.
Yeah, dude, that is so much work that they're taking on.
I know.
Yeah,
like, they're doing
everything
annoying to help people. That's why I sent one email. Yeah, so like and they're producing more stuff. They're trying to do as much as they can without like going bankrupt and making it up, because they're just like us. They're fans. They love these movies too. I mean, Jacob and I always go to the Severin booth at conventions and always chat them up, and they're some of the nicest people.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, you know, because of the pandemic, we were sad that we couldn't, you know, go to the booth at like Monster Palooza or something this year, because we always hang out at the Severin booth and with the cardboard cutout of Jess Franco.
I like Severin because whenever when I was doing my Cinema Verite column on Film Fracture, Severin would put out a bunch of stuff that I would do for my column, and they would take pull quotes from me.
Nice.
For a lot of their advertising. And I think I want a copy of their Jack the Ripper, because I think a pull quote of mine from Jack the Ripper is on the actual Blu-ray cover, not just they use pull quotes of mine all the time for like Kathy's Curse and The Boys Next Door, you know, just on their internet, you know, like here's what people are saying like on the website. But I think one of them actually made the cover for Jack the Ripper, so I wanted a copy of that at some point. I know I missed out on. I didn't know that they used my pull quote in time to get a slipcover, but
you should get a copy of that, because that movie is crazy.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I wrote about it.
And I do got to compliment Severin that they put out a real good spread for the mid-year sale. Like we were talking about before, like they got a whole bunch of Fulci movies this time. Like some of his lesser-known stuff, and also a movie about Fulci, because they got Fulci for Fake, which is an Italian kind of pseudo mockumentary about an actor who's going to be in a fake Fulci biopic. So he interviews like all of Fulci's friends and family to kind of get into his head. And I saw it at Chattanooga Film Festival, and it was a very emotional and powerful movie that, you know, because like we, you know, as fans of Fulci, you know, it's like it's always about the gore and like the craziness and the zombies and stuff, but you know, it is interesting going to his background, because like it just seems that he drew a lot from internal pain and turmoil, and you know, it's like, you know, because it's easy to think of people in this industry is not necessarily one-dimensional, but you know, it's easy to forget that there are just so many layers to somebody like that. So it was one of my favorites from the festival. I'm very interested to watch it on Blu-ray, especially with all the additional footage. And they released a couple of Fulci's quote-unquote lesser or later movies, including a personal favorite of mine, Enigma, which is which I like to think of as Fulci's take on Carrie, because it's about this all-girl school, and like the mean girls pull a prank and put this unpopular girl into a coma, and while she's in the coma, she has like psychic powers or something, and she starts taking them out one by one. And there's one batshit scene where she psychically controls like hundreds of snails to attack somebody, and it's something.
So it's Carrie meets Patrick.
Pretty much, yeah.
Awesome. I'm sold.
Yes, and the third one, which I haven't even seen, but I really want to see it now, is called Demonia. And it's like a nunsploitation movie that Fulci did in the late 80s. I think it's about these archaeologists going to like this derelict nunnery in northern Italy or something, and it's cursed because like the nuns were possessed by demons, or like there was a nun witch. I'm not 100% sure on all the plot details, but it's got like demon nuns, so. You know, I'm sold already.
I was about to say, you're just shower that on me. I want that. I want to be showered in that description.
Yes.
You had me at Fulci doing nunsploitation.
It's a winning combination.
Have either of you guys seen? It's weird. It's called The Dark Recut. Are you guys familiar with this?
Not really.
Okay, The Dark is that 1979 movie that Toby Hooper was fired from,
a
week into production, and then John Bud Cardos finished the movie, and then the studio stepped in, and because Star Wars and Alien and all this other stuff was going on, it's about an alien werewolf who shoots lasers from his eyes, stalking the streets of Los Angeles, and it is a crazy movie, and somebody recut it basically trying to get it closer toward Hooper's original vision, which is more, it's less on the sci-fi side, and it's more on the just, there's a serial killer out here, and then it's kind of revealed that it's this, and he's still like...
werewolf who shoots lasers out of its eye.
He's still like 10 feet tall. But it's crazy because they take all the sci-fi elements out. Not all of them, though, because during the final battle, where in the one that we've seen up until now, this werewolf is shooting everything with these eye lasers, blowing shit up left and right. He still does that just once. So it's enough for you to go, wait a minute, is this werewolf from space or not? Because he basically lifts a cop up with his eye lasers and blows him up, and you're like, okay, that came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, no, dude, I love The Dark. I actually got the Blu-ray from...
I do too.
I got the Blu-ray from Code Red. I've seen it play at the New Beverly like once or twice. And yeah, I love that finale because it's like the entire LAPD fighting the alien werewolf with laser eyes in like an abandoned monastery or something, and just shit's blowing up. And I love the story behind it because it is so crazy, that they had Toby Hooper on, and the original story was basic. It was also more in line with kind of Toby Hooper's work because it was about like this family, like they had this like adult with psychic powers that they kept locked up in the attic, and he was like a wild man, and then there's like a fire, and during the blaze, most of the family dies, and like the crazy like mutant son with psychic powers or something escapes the attic and starts rampaging through the city. And yeah, then Star Wars happened, and they just figured, okay, Star Wars big, so we got to get in on that. What do people love about Star Wars? The lasers. So all we got to do is we just got to add a bunch of lasers to this movie.
It's so crazy. But okay, so, as a fan of The Dark, it's on Vimeo. You can find it on Vimeo.
Oh.
I was about to say, where can I watch this fucking thing?
Yes.
The Dark Recut. It's on Vimeo for free, and I'm not sure about the legalities of it, so you guys might want to not wait too long before it gets taken down.
Listen, I'm not leaving my hotel room anytime soon, so I have time today.
But yeah, go to Vimeo, and I think if you just search The Dark Recut, you'll find it. It looks great. Whoever recut it, I don't know what elements they used, but it looks really good, and it's a different The Dark. It really is.
Have you guys seen Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street?
Not yet, although it's on my watch list on Shudder.
Yeah, it's on Shudder. I need to get to it.
I can't recommend it enough. It's a fantastic telling. I love really great. I like documentaries when they not only talk about this one person's life, but you get a better understanding of what that time was like, because the story of Mike Patton is very, very interesting. Like, that guy was on the verge of like blowing up, and a lot of people are like, oh, and there's all the stuff with Nightmare on Elm Street 2 that people think like destroyed his career and all that, but he kind of just walked away, and that's because he was, you know, a gay man in Los Angeles in the 80s, and the AIDS epidemic was happening, and just going into, they went really in depth with that, what he's been, a little bit about what he's been doing since then, but then there's also kind of this redemption story where the movie ends with him confronting the writer of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, because for years the writer of Elm Street 2 said, oh, I didn't write it that way, it's only because Mike's gay that it came off like that, and basically put all the blame on that movie not being liked on him. And he's like, come on, like, you can't do that, you can't, you essentially basically made it so that I couldn't get work. Like, his agents told him, like, yeah, you can lead a movie, but you have to be a character actor because you can't play straight. And it's like, no, I was just doing what they were telling me to do. I was doing the writing material and stuff. It's really insane, just like how in depth that documentary gets with it.
Gotcha. And in terms of new acquisitions, something I wanted to share, I just got the Guyver Blu-ray from Diabolic DVD. For a long time, like, there wasn't a North American release, but recently Arrow did a release for Canada, which is Region A, so it still works here, so I just had to get it for Diabolic. And this is one that I hold kind of dear, because, like, I was a big fan of this movie when I was a kid. Like, I'd watch it, it played a lot on the Sci-Fi Channel or USA Network and stuff, and it is always funny to revisit something you liked as a kid, see if it holds up, and, you know, it holds up in some places, in other spots not so much. It is very cheesy, like, ultra mega cheesy. Like, you know, there's just so much weird comedy bits and like awkward moments, but although the real bits that shine out are the special effects, because it was actually directed by the duo of Screaming Mad George and Steve Wang. So, like, there's some outstanding practical effects in this movie between the monsters and the transformation sequences, and it's really funny too, because, you know, it was produced by Brian Yuzna. So there's like a lot of body horror stuff, and like there's a lot of Reanimator cast members who pop up. Like, you got Jeffrey Combs, David Gale, and Michael Berryman has a prominent role as like one of the chief bad guys. So that's always cool. Oh, and of course Mark Hamill's in it.
I was about to say, isn't Mark Hamill in it?
Yeah, although he's not the star, although he's like a supporting character, and he does get to do a big body horror scene where he gets turned into like a cockroach man. So it's pretty crazy, and this is actually based off of a Japanese anime and manga. So like, I'm not sure if it's the first American attempt on something like that, but you know, for its time, it was a pretty decent effort. And then I decided to follow up because there's actually a sequel called Guyver Dark Fate, which sadly does not have like a physical release outside of like a DVD from a number of years back, but it is free to stream on Vudu with commercials, and I gotta say it is better in a lot of ways. In that the action is a lot cooler. Like, it's like the tone is more even. Like, it's not as goofy. Practical effects are still pretty cool, although the sequel definitely has a lower budget. But yeah, like, that one was just directed by Steve Wang, but it's pretty cool. And yeah, the lead is David Hayter, who replaces the lead from the first movie. And David Hayter is the guy who did the voice of Solid Snake for a number of years. He wrote the X-Men and X-Men 2 movies. So it's an interesting career. So Arrow Video, if you're hearing this, please give a physical release to Guyver Dark Fate, because, I mean, you know, just like it goes hand in hand. Also, like, I gotta compliment Arrow, because the slip cover for Guyver's really cool. Like, it's got this like it's like a I think it's like a lithograph, like it's like the lightning bolts on the front cover kind of shine. So like always appreciate a good era release.
Nice holographics.
Yeah,
cover.
Very 90s.
I do have to say, nothing can top that rad holographic graphics of cover. I watched that the night before I left. Oh my god, it is rad incredible.
Yes, peak 80s sports movie.
I've had a lot of bad luck recently with movies that I was super excited to finally own and watch, and like them just not like working for me, or just not like clicking with me well, and being like, okay, I see the merits behind it, but I don't know if I'll watch it again. Rad though, Rad blew it out of the fucking water.
Yeah,
and that release is great. It's not horror, so I'm not going to go super into how obsessed I am with Rad, but I have been listening to that soundtrack almost nonstop since.
Yes, and this little segue that having like I just watched Rad for the first time because of that Blu-ray, and I realized that theme song, thunder in your heart, like that, and your heart is like lightning, like that. Like I didn't know that song was also used in Turbo Kid.
Holy shit! Yeah, it was.
Because I think they said it was like an inspiration because all the characters ride BMX bikes in that movie too.
Yeah, it made me want to find a copy of BMX Bandits, which good luck to me on that one.
Oh, is that out of print?
Yeah, Severin's release of it is. I might have to import from Australia. We'll see.
Is BMX Bandits the one that has Nicole Kidman in it?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And in terms of other movie watching, and speaking of Australia, good segue, I went...
Very smooth segue.
Like butter.
Anywho, I was at the drive-in the other day because the American Cinematheque and Beyond Fest have teamed up with the local drive-in, the Mission Tiki, in order to do weekly double features every Thursday. And their first double feature was Mad Max Fury Road and Death Race 2000.
Now, I said earlier to not be mad at independent companies, but I am very angry at American Cinematheque and Beyond Fest for scheduling a double feature of two of my favorite movies of all time the day I leave the fucking state. You jerks.
So sorry. Oh, man. Well...
But how was it?
Hopefully it'll be continuing when you come back, but oh my god, it was amazing. Like, it was some of the most fun I've had in months. Like, it's just great. It's a bit of a trek because it's like 45 miles away, and now that the state's reopening, traffic is picking up again, which is... But anyway, it was a fun as hell screening, and they even had an intro by George Miller, who wasn't long, but he basically said he appreciated that we were screening the movie, and he was talking about his own youth going to the drive-ins as a kid, and how in Australia they would honk their horns and flash their lights as kind of a form of applause while watching the movies. So we did the same, and so basically during the big scenes, like the big chase scenes or something climactic would happen, we'd honk our horns and flash our lights. And so it just really felt like being in a crowd again, which was just such an amazing feeling. And I've seen Mad Max in IMAX, 3D, Black and Chrome edition, but seeing it at a drive-in in a car surrounded by all these other cars, and also there were a few kind of wastelanders cosplaying as Mad Max characters. So it really felt immersive, and and Death Race 2000, of course, was a lot of fun too, and a real perfect double bill. And just all the stuff with David Carradine and Sylvester Stallone was cool, and the Roger Corman socio-political satire sadly was all too relevant, like the stuff about the great TV leader Mr. President.
That's his name.
The leader of the country is Mr. President, who only appears on TV. The car stunts still are just so impressive today, and
there's so many genuinely badass moments, like in the very beginning of the race when they drop the thing, where he drops his glove and just circles back and runs over the priest.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yeah, no, and again with the social relevance, like the whole thing, like the old must be sacrificed for the economy, like the old are worth more points. Oh God.
Not that hits a little too close to home.
Yeah,
what's going on, doesn't it?
Between that and Fury Road, the whole Immortan Joe stuff. But yeah, no, just both those movies were just worked so well together, though, on a double feature. And also, I already got my ticket next week because they're doing Jaws and Tremors for 4th of July weekend.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that is a double feature right there.
Yeah.
Let's seg into what our topic is, which relates to this. Is a perfect segue, actually, because we want to talk about basically it. Supposedly the states are reopening, but I foresee closures coming back up again because cases are. I think they did it a little too early, in my opinion. But anyway,
same.
There are ways that you can still see new movies, and I think we've been talking about drive-ins for weeks because, with like The Wretched and the Kelly Gang, and now with these, this series. But these are the ways that, I don't want to say it's going to become the new normal because there's nothing like sitting in a crowded theater. I mean, perfect example is Hereditary. I saw a press screening of it, and then I went back opening night to see that scene. Anyone who's seen it knows the scene with a packed house, just because I love to feel the energy. And the Paranormal Activity movies are another one. I would always see those on opening night because there's an electricity in the room that comes from being elbow to elbow with people. And that's something we're missing right now. But it doesn't mean that we have to forego seeing new movies. Drive-ins are one great way. And, like Jake, I think a lot of what Jacob's talking about is people being cooped up, and they all just, when they do get out and they do get, even though they're in another car, it's a party. Like he says, flashing your lights and honking your horn. I mean, it's a communal thing, which is what cinema should be. That's, we're going to have to find ways to do it like that, I think.
I mean, that's what it's all about. We're huge, like you were saying, we're all huge cinema guys. I can't think of an episode up until quarantine where it wasn't, we were at the Egyptian for this one screening, whether it's an old movie or their opening night. And I used to manage and work at movie theaters all throughout college, and it's kind of like that weird stigma that used to be. It's like, you're going to the movies by yourself. It's a gathering place. It's a shared experience that the entire audience, you go through this with people. If it's a good movie, you went through it, you survived, you came out the other side, you were shown this whole world together. It's whether you talk with other people about it or not, you shared that with an audience full of people. And my God, are we on track with opening stuff up too early to kind of ruin that forever? Because what is it? Regal's starting to open up. AMC's are starting to open up.
On July 15th is when they say it's happening, and also like Cinemark as well. But that, I wouldn't be surprised if that gets pushed, though, because with the cases spiking where they've opened restaurants, it's...
Yeah, that's the thing. The curve is not going down, and it's not flattening anymore.
And they're talking about opening at 30% capacity, which is basically every seat around you empty. They're going to give you a seat buffer. But even that, it's like... You're in the lobby with other people, and they say they're going to require masks until you get to your seat. Okay.
Well, now they do. Well, AMC didn't say that at first.
Yeah, AMC initially said, no, you don't have to wear masks, or you won't have to. They don't want to make it political. It's not political. At this point, it's medical.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, we don't want to get into this. Yeah. Don't get us started.
Yeah.
Stay on point.
And the thing is, it's also one thing for somebody who's going to go into a theater for a couple hours, watch a movie, and go home. People, and Jacob can, relate to this, the people who have to work there for 8-9 hours at a time, those are the people who are going to be exposed to hundreds, if not thousands, depending on how popular the movies are. Actually, at 30% capacity, probably not thousands. But you're going to be exposed to a lot of different people, and all it takes is one to be a carrier.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I want movies to come back, I kind of hope they do push this July 15th, just for people's sake, because I am happy that they didn't push A Quiet Place 2 direct to video, because A Quiet Place was one of my favorite cinematic experiences too, because it's like a packed theater, completely silent.
Yeah. I remember seeing the first one and you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah, people were upset that they didn't want to eat their popcorn because the crunching was too loud, because it was, and I'm glad that I want to experience that with A Quiet Place too. So I'm happy that they haven't gone direct to video with that one. And also, like, Chris Nolan's not going to put Tenet to direct to video. You know, that's not going to happen.
Can I say this is gonna might sound a bit strong, but I lost a bit of respect for Christopher Nolan this year, because apparently, like, Warner Brothers, it's like the word has like come out that the main reason why Warner Brothers has been so adamant about keeping Tenet in July is at Christopher Nolan's request. Like, they're willing to push it off, but he wants that July release, and that angers me a lot, because again, we're not there yet. And even if theaters do open at 30% capacity and all that, if you take away the whole medical and the fact that we're in a fucking pandemic and people are dying, theaters can't run off that. They make all their money on concessions. So if them opening up at like 30% and stuff, that's not a sustainable model. How theaters have been run for the last 20 or so years is not a sustainable model, and doing it at this is putting an even bigger strain on that. So I think we're going to see a lot more damage done before because this is far from over.
The matter is, like, how do we or what do we do in the time being? And like I've been talking about, the drive-in has been a fun place to go to see movies, and I'm glad that drive-ins have been kind of reopening, and there have been a lot of retro screenings too. Like, I actually have some friends back in Massachusetts who've been going to Cape Cod, and I forget some of the other areas, but there are a few drive-ins there. And like a friend of mine just saw Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones. You know, and like we've been talking about, there have been new movies too, like Becky and Wretched, and a new movie that just came out that's got a drive-in release, Followed, that I reviewed, also just came out, and like a lot of indie horror stuff is topping the box office because aren't a whole lot of options. So, you know, like, and you know, I'm hoping more drive-ins open up, and you know, like in cities like Los Angeles, you know, I'm hoping, you know, they open something up within the city limits. So, and yeah, no, the drive-in has proven to be pretty safe. You know, like, they require masks on if you go to concessions. They wash the areas. You know, people keep their distance. Everybody's wearing their masks. So, yeah, for the time being, if I want to go out to see a movie on a big screen, you know, the drive-in's my best bet.
And that's that community feeling that you miss watching something at home, because also they've got these theater at home experiences where they're releasing things, you know, directly for rental, and they're expensive. They're like $20 for rental. But if you think about it, if you have a family of 4, it would cost you more than that to go to a theater. Yeah. So if you're, you know, I mean, they did that with Invisible Man, although Invisible Man and The Hunt did catch the tail end, so they did get to go to theaters. But, you know, I think Universal is the big one, because Emma, they also did that with. But others, you know, Trolls World Tour, they're launching these to Scoob is another one. Yeah, they're launching these, and so they're like VOD rentals. And I mean, you can still kind of get the community, because people they'll set up scheduled times. They'll say, hey everyone, we're going to watch Scoob at, you know, 7 p.m. Let's hit Twitter with the hashtag. Yeah, and it's not just for new releases. Like, you'll see, I think it's every Friday night. I've been seeing, like, Fright Rags has been joined in. So I think, is it called Terror Tweets? That's how I see them, because I follow Fright Rags on Twitter. But I guess someone's organizing it where you can tweet along with movies, you know, and these are common movies. They're doing like A Nightmare on Elm Street and Terror Train, you know, that everybody either has or they're easy to find. So you can still get a little bit of the community experience by doing that.
I think also they've been doing, I think it's Lionsgate has been doing like Flashback Fridays or something, where they've been like showing like John Wick for free on Fridays, you know, and other movies that they have under their repertoire like that, which that's great. But we need to take it serious as a country. The curve's not flat. Florida opened up all their restaurants and bars, and within a few days, what is it now? They're banning bars from being able to serve booze on the
alcohol?
premise because people weren't taking it serious. Like, you can take it to go. I actually did that last night. We went out for dinner, and I went and got a mixed drink next door and took it out with me. And I was like, so I can take it to go? Does that mean I can drink it while walking down the street? Is anyone gonna stop? I did not do anything illegal, everybody.
I know
I'm
that's
not
illegal
admitting.
in California, but how is it in Georgia? Is it still illegal in Georgia?
No, that was in Georgia.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm asking. I mean, it's illegal in California. Is it illegal in Georgia too? I mean, normally.
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't get in trouble, so I'm definitely not gonna do it again. 'Cause I'm not.
They're either
leaving.
looking the other way or it's legal.
That was my one night to go out. That was stressful going to a restaurant. Even though we had like an entire section to ourselves, it was just like wearing my mask until, all right, here comes the food. Take off my mask, eat my food, put it back on. Great, now my mask smells like fries. All right, we're gonna deal with this all day. So
I saw that someone did a study, and I don't know how they got all this information because it seems like it would be private, but they correlated credit card spending at restaurants with the spike in COVID cases. They basically found out the areas where people are spending more money at restaurants, they correlate to where there are the biggest spikes in new cases.
Oh, wow.
Which is really interesting because a lot of people were saying, oh, it's from all this protesting. It's like, first of all, the protesters, they're wearing masks because they want to be anonymous. But also the protesters, they're outdoors, they're distancing, and they're wearing masks. In a restaurant, you have to take the mask off, like you said, to eat, or in a bar. And I've driven by a couple of restaurants where they have, like the patio will be open, and I'll see the people out there. First of all, no one's wearing masks because they're all eating and drinking, and they're not distancing either. They've got every table packed. It's like, no, that's what we're trying to avoid.
And that's the thing, because it's been enough time of these protests going on that we do have some data on if there would be these like major spikes, because there's tens of thousands of people protesting. You would be seeing these massive spikes, especially in cities from during that time, but you're not seeing it with that. You're seeing it in places that have reopened.
Yes.
You're seeing it happen in, I mean, don't get me wrong, LA is going up really quick right now too, because everything started opening, and it's just like, come on, we've done so much work. There's so many people that are like me and Jacob who have been out of work for months, and reopening stuff before things are good to go, or even somewhat safe, or there's enough protocol or everyone abiding by it, is undoing all this work, and it's just going to keep people like us on. I lucked out with this gig that I'm working on right now, in just the financial portion, that I'm working again, which is fine, but God, the hoops and everything we have to jump through to make sure everything is safe, and it's still not guaranteed. I don't know. I can't control what my crew does outside of work. I can't. That's not. I'm not going to, because they're adults. I can only give them all the information and all the PPE I can give them, but it's up to them to make that choice. Same with the cast. We can't control what they do, but we also all signed up for this, for this job. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But all that works that we've done over the last few months of trying to curb this thing is being undone, and honestly, we didn't even do enough.
Yeah.
Some of us sacrificed a lot for this, and
yeah,
it's getting undone.
And another thing that has been happening, to bring it back to movies, because we gotta go on this tangent, but we would. When we start talking about this, I knew we would, because all three of us feel real strongly about it. Another thing that is happening is there have been like digital film festivals. Like I know South by did this, Chattanooga did
Film
it.
Festival.
They're putting it all online, which is actually kind of cool because more people can see it. But also they're doing it at a certain time still. So they're saying, here, you have this weekend to watch these movies. So there's still some of that community because people are tweeting about them. People are still discussing them, but they're not having to go, you don't have to fight anybody to get tickets to the hot, screening in town. And I've seen indie theaters also do this with just new releases where, I forget the platform that's doing it, but basically you can rent a new movie, and it'll be some little indie. And if you go through a link from a certain theater, like the one here in town is the Digital Gym, but you could do it for any. I mean, in town. When I say in town, I mean San Diego, because I'm a little further south than these guys. But you go there, and then the Digital Gym gets a cut of that ticket sale because they're out of work too. You're trying to keep your indie theaters afloat as well. But it basically everybody across the country can watch this indie movie, and their local theater gets a cut of the sales. So that's kind of rallying around your film community as well, because you're able to help out you're able to see a movie and help out your local theater too. So that's another way that you can see, you're not just relegated to what is in your Vudu collection or, what's streaming on Netflix. There's other things to do.
And if you do go out, be nice to the people working. They are dealing with so much.
Oh my gosh.
Be nice to the places that you're ordering stuff from online. Except Amazon. You can be an asshole to Amazon. I am.
Yeah, we don't care much for Jeff Bezos.
I'll be cool to Amazon because they get my dog's food to me on time. I'm totally cool with Amazon.
I'm a nice Karen to Amazon. I go full on. Can I speak to your supervisor? I'm getting frustrated, and you don't get paid enough to deal with people at my level of frustration right now. But be nice, because there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of positive stuff going on. I'm loving seeing people going out there and supporting Black-owned bookstores online. That's phenomenal. But those same people are now bombarding them with messages and stuff going, where the fuck's my books, and blah, 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 blah. Listen, these places can't do 2-day shipping. Amazon can do it, but they can't. It's going to take a little bit of time. And if everyone's ordering the same 5 titles, they need to restock. Things take time. It's going to take a little bit longer, and that's okay, guys. Severance site went down. That's okay. They're doing everything they can to get everything back up. We're going to be fine when it comes to us getting books and movies. Just relax.
Yeah. And something else I've been thinking about doing is getting a projector for my apartment, because I got a big wall in the living room, so I figure, I can set up like a digital projector and project my own movies.
Yeah, do it up.
Is the wall that you're going to project on opposite a window so your neighbors can kind of like look in too?
Nope, it's all for me and my roommates.
It's all for you.
They got to pay.
Especially if you're going to watch the taking of Tiger Mountain, make sure that your neighbors
No. In that case, I'm going to project it onto the side of the CNN building in Los Angeles, because everybody's got to see that.
Honestly, when I got to a certain scene and taking a Tiger Mountain, my TV does face my front window, and I pulled the shit. if someone's walking their dog by right now, they're gonna think I'm like watching a skin flick. When look, it's Bill Paxton. Yeah,
it's a skin flick, but it's an artsy skin flick.
Yeah.
So you're gonna deny your neighbors the opportunity to see Bill's Paxton? How dare you, sir? I was trying to find in my neighborhood just a good wall space, because I have an 8mm projector and a 16mm projector, and I've gotten a few of these. They're like condensed 8mm showings of like Star Wars, but there's no sound, so it's just like they'll have title cards. It's really weird because it's like most of A New Hope has like a story, but it's only like a few bits, so it's like Ben finds Luke finds Ben, and then it just like goes on really slowly for like an entire scene. It's like, wait, couldn't you fit more of the action and the cool stuff in there? But
is it only like 3 minutes?
They're like,
or is it longer?
They're like 8 to 10 minutes, so it's like the whole thing condensed down.
Because I remember when I was in elementary school, and this is when Star Wars was relatively new, one of my classmates brought this thing into class, and we were always saying, we're going to watch Star Wars, and it turned out to be just this time. You see Darth Vader for like barely a millisecond after he kills Ben, and the doors closing on him. You're like, oh wait, that's all you get to see it.
That's exactly what it is.
I'll bet that's what it is. That I just have the running time wrong.
but I have one for Rodan too, which is awesome.
Nice.
So I've been wanting to just like run around. I need to figure out the power source, because I have something that can do 65 watts, but a projector is going to take more than that. But take out my little 8mm projector and just like be projecting Rodan everywhere. I have a few like films where it's just like a monkey doing stuff. So like one, he's a fireman and they have like a little tiny house on fire and he just comes up in a little fire truck with a hose and he's swinging around and putting out fire. I have like a whole series of like, it's just like Chimp the Aviator, Chimp the Fireman. And that's my vice.
That's pretty awesome.
Chimp movies on 16 millimeter.
All right, let's wrap this up. Let's get out of here.
All right.
We've talked enough about this. So anyway,
but have we talked enough about the chimps? Because I think Jonathan has more chimp movies to talk about.
So people, support your movies, your theaters. Support your independent movies. Support everybody that you can, and be nice.
And be on the lookout for our new podcast, which is going to be purely about monkeys doing things, called Chimp the Podcast.
Yes.
And this one is actually going to be a video podcast too, so because we can't just talk about that.
And on your note, James, if I may quote a great American hero, be nice out there, because wherever you go, there you are. Buckaroo Banzai.
All right, and on that, let's get out of here. Our theme song is by Restless Spirit, and hey, everybody, give some love to Restless Spirit, because they're the main guy, the guitar player and vocalist Paul, gone through a little rough time because he's also in another band called Homewrecker that I don't know if you follow Homewrecker, but they got caught up in some shit, and Paul has left Homewrecker. I don't want to go into it right now because it's not my story to tell, but you can Google it. So give Restless Spirit some love, because it may be Paul's main band now again, which is awesome. It's awesome that Restless Spirit may be more active. Not awesome the way that it happened. Our artwork is Chris Fisher, so give him some love too. He's been kind of low on the radar. I hope he's in post-production on his Rogue Bounty Star Wars fan film, because I haven't heard much from him. But anyway, give him some love too. And Jacob, where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at Jacob Davison _. That is at JACOBDAVISON _. And you can also find me on Instagram at Jacob _Davison.
You actually got Jacob _Davison instead of Jacob Davison _
Yeah. I've actually had Instagram for a little while. Just realized I've never mentioned it.
Right, how about you, Korea? Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Korean Barbecue. That's CORREIAN BBQ. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter at Cinema Fierite. That's like Verite, but with fear. So it's FEARITE. And I also have an Instagram. Actually, I have two. The Cinema Fierite Instagram got hacked, and although I got it back, I can't get into it. So I'm actually at James J. Edwards on Instagram, but I don't use Instagram. So you'll have better luck getting to me on Twitter, or at the Eye on Horror Facebook page, where you can get to all of us, or at iHorror.com, where you can get to all of us. And the Eye on Horror Twitter and Eye on Horror Instagram. We need to start writing this down.
Guys, we listeners, we figured out what social media was, and we're finally like doing stuff on it. Mainly me, but you know, they post every now and then too. It's not always just me.
Yep. Cool. So this has been a fun talk. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you on the other side. So for me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correa.
Keep your eye on horror.
And wear a mask.